Alright guys, this video, it might end up getting split into two, just depending on how long it takes me. I just don't like there to be really long videos as far as upload times for you and for me. So here's the warm-up. We're starting our review for our quiz next week for all of Chapter 5. So go ahead and take a look at these, write these questions down, and try them. So pause the video. And when you get back, we'll go through them together, as it's been a while since we've done these. All right, I'm hoping you were able to figure these out. So the first one, finding inverses. Remember, if we want to find the new domain and range, sometimes it's just easiest to find the original domain and range of our original function, which in this case is the square root of x minus 1. And then remember, for inverses, the domain and range switches. So since I can't have a range or a domain of something that would make anything under the square root sign negative, I know that my domain is x is a set of positive 1 to infinity, or if I said that another way, x is greater than or equal to 1. And let me put up here too for your notes. So this is my original domain and range, and y, if I had plugged in that 1 into this equation, 1 minus 1 is 0. The square root of 0 is 0. So y must be 0 to infinity. And I know that's true because the graph of this looks something like this, where I go over 1 and it's shaped like that. All right, so now finding the inverse is when I'm going to switch x and y. So we remember that f of x is the same as y. So first step in finding the inverse would be to say x equals the square root of y minus 1. And then now I need to solve for y. So to undo this square root here, I need to square both sides. So that leaves me x squared equals y minus 1. And now to get y by itself, I'm just going to add 1 to both sides, giving me y equals x squared plus 1. And then correct notation for that is f to the negative 1 of x equals x squared plus 1. So what's my new domain and range? Well, my new domain and range is just the flip of my original domain and range. So now I'm going to have x is a set of 0 to infinity, and y is a set of 1 to infinity. So I just flipped those two domains and ranges, and this is the domain and range of my inverse. All right. So if you need to, go ahead and pause and finish taking notes on that. I think that's the one advantage of these videos, is that you can pause and see the screen and get everything down before you move on. All right, so at the beginning of this chapter, the only way we could solve exponential equations was by making the bases the same. And so we would need to find something between 8 and 1/2 that we could make the bases the same, and it's base 2. So 1/2 is equivalent to 2 to the negative 1, and 8 is equivalent to 2 to the 3rd power. So I can only rewrite this to something that it's equivalent to, otherwise I've changed the equation. So this is 2 to the negative 1, and all of that is to the x plus 3, equals 2 cubed. Now I'm going to want to distribute the negative 1 to x and 3 because it's an exponent to an exponent, which means I multiply them. So I get 2 to the negative x minus 3 equals 2 cubed. And once I have everything the same base, and it's simplified as much as possible, really the bases just go away, and I'm left with negative x minus 3 equals a positive 3. And then I solve for x. So add 3 to both sides, I get negative x equals 6. If I divide both sides by negative 1, I get x equals negative 6. And that's my final answer for number 2 on the warm-up. So these are both definitely questions you could see on the quiz, something similar to this. And again, every class's quiz will be a little different. So we're just going to have a set of questions, and it might be just mixed up for each of you. All right. So what else would be on the 5.3 section, or 5.1 to 5.3, which was the first half of our chapter, was finding the inverse and the domain and range. So we just did that on the warm-up. Solving exponential equations, just like what we just did on the warm-up, and then determining the value of a log without a calculator. And so we didn't have one of those on the warm-up, so this is a good example. If I had log base 2 of 8, I want to know what it equals. And so you might just write equals x, because we don't know. It's an unknown at this point. And then the way to evaluate this log without a calculator is to rewrite it in exponential form. So you remember, you start at the base, go towards the equal sign, and end at the number. So exponential form would be 2 to the x equals 8. And now you guys can probably figure out x is 3, but really the way you would solve this if it was more complicated is you would want to write them both as the same base, just like we did in the warm-up. So 2 or 8 can be written as base 2 to the third power. So we know that x equals 3. So I can really say log base 2 of 8 equals 3. And remember, whatever a log equals is always the exponent. All right, so let me know if you have questions on any of that. You can send me an email, send me a quick message as you're going through the review worksheet for this. I'm going to stop this video for the first half of our chapter 5, just so it's a short video and it uploads quickly, and then I will continue with the second half for the review, which is 5.4 and 5.5.